What's going on, people? Um, I hope you guys got time today. I hope you guys got time today because I chose violence today. I really chose violence today. And we're going to get into it. And I want your genuine opinions on this one. Look. Okay, so check this out. I had a debate, okay, today. And it started off very light. It started off very light. And we were talking about, I gave a scenario. And I said, if you are in a relationship, you're married, and I'm the husband and you're the wife, and you have a situation where you're diametrically opposed, meaning that you can't agree and you can't agree. You two don't agree on what the other two are saying. You've been going back and forth at this for days. Okay? And you guys can't come to a conclusion. Who's going to make that decision in the household? Who's going to make that decision in the household? And look, you guys may be surprised on this part that I'm going to tell you. I don't care really who is going to be the person who is going to take that role. I don't really care. That's your home. That's your household. So it's not mine. I know how I'm doing it, but that's your home, that's your household. Now here's the other tidbit to this conversation. I said, okay, so obviously me and this person didn't agree about who takes that position, that leadership role. But the next question I said, oh, well, so check this out. I said, is there a leader at all? And that person goes, no, there is no leader. And I said, well, hold on, wait a minute. And the person goes, well, you know what? The way we do it in my home is, we both talk about it and we come to a conclusion that way. And I said, oh, interesting. That's really interesting. That's cool. Because that's similar kind of how I do it in my home. I said, but the ultimate situation is that when you guys come to a conclusion, what you're doing is you're essentially going into a debate. Okay? And once you go into that debate, you are debating for supremacy. You're trying to figure out whose opinion and whose theory is going to win out more. Now, there are things that you are going to give up. Okay? But ultimately, who is winning that debate? Look, I understand that there's things that you're going to forego, but ultimately there's going to be somebody's decision that you're going to go with, right? If we looked at this from a pie chart, percentage wise, And then we actually put this in a situation where it was a full year. Okay. And we look at this relationship and we say, okay, the woman, you know, her opinion, the way she did it is it was 65%. And then the man's was 35%. Would we say at that point that she is, generally speaking, the leader? I'm asking you guys. I really want to know. Will we say she's generally the leader? The point I'm trying to make is that we can be a democracy in the home. Okay? But there's always going to be a leader at the end of the day. There's always going to be a leader. There's always going to be someone that needs to make that final decision. Now, I don't agree. Well, let me just say this. I'm not going to sit there and force my opinion down somebody's throat. And also, being a leader also means that you're delegating this stuff to the other person too. Now, meaning that she can be better, or that person can be better in things that you're not better in, or that you're not good in, right? Okay? You would think you would know your partner well enough to where you would be able to understand what their good traits are and what your bad traits are, and what you're good at and what they're bad at. So you would basically be able to delegate based on just your understanding of your partner, right? Okay, I really want to get your opinion on this one, seriously. So if you were able to debate and come to a conclusion and relegate, you know, who's good at what, then you also are going to take accountability for the decisions that you make. Because if you're going to be a leader, and this is for men and women, and I'm going to bring my point home in a second. Let me cook for a minute. I'm going to bring my point home, I promise you. Regardless if you're a man or a woman, okay, if you have the final say so, and we're talking about brass tags, I'm not trying to get into no situation where it's man hear me roar, or I'm woman, I'm feminist, or whatever the case. I'm not trying to get into anything. I'm just talking about logical brass tags. A decision needs to be made. Okay. I'm gonna bring this across the board to both scenarios, man and woman. Let's start off with the man first, because you guys gonna like this. Let's say the man is in charge. He makes the decision, right? Okay. He fucks up. He makes the bad decision. It's not a good one. Okay? At that point, it's his fault, right? I mean, we don't want to place blame on anyone, but he is going to be accountable for the decision he made. He's going to be responsible, because when you have leadership, you have authority, and when you have authority, you have responsibility. And with that responsibility, you can either get the reward or you can get the failure. Okay? It's a gift and a curse. There's gives and takes. Now let's actually bring it over to the woman. The woman is in charge. Okay? But wait a minute. I'm not in charge. It's an egalitarian situation. What do you mean by that? Well, I think everybody's equal. I think we put our opinion together, and then it's gonna come to that. Oh, okay. Well, what do you think? I don't know. Well, what do you think? Well, I think we should do it this way. Okay, well, that was your ideal. That wasn't my ideal. So you would be the leader in that. Well, no, well, I want your opinion on this too. Well, okay. Well, as the man, I want to do it this way. Well, I don't really want to do it your way. Okay, well, you really want to do it your way then. No, well, I want you to do something in the lines of what I want to do, but I don't want the accountability of me being the leader. You see what I'm saying? Do you see where I'm going with this? The egalitarian stuff is bullshit. Now, I don't know how you feel about this, okay? Frankly, I'm not even going to go there. Somebody has to be the final decision maker. And it seems like for me, with some women, because this is obviously not all women, but I noticed with some women, when they hear that a man is going to take a leadership role, like they're going to take responsibility or they're going to take the lead, something about that, it like just rubs them, it rubs them the wrong way. Like they feel, no, no, he can't take that role. But I don't want to be responsible either. So we have to make this an equal thing. We equally did this together. And there's no accountability for either one of us because we both made the decision. My wife is very strict on when it comes about your health. For the most part, I try not to argue with her about any of that stuff because 9 times out of 10, she's right. She knows what she's doing. I know what she's doing is genuine. So I don't argue with her. I might give her a little here and there, like every once in a while, but I don't argue with her on that because she is right. And I know that she has my best interest in hand. And she's a lot more responsible in that regard than I am. She takes the lead in that. I don't even bother. She's going to be the woman of the household. She takes the lead in that. I'm not going to argue with her and stuff in regards to that. I'm not. Okay? But why is it when a man says that he's going to take the lead or take charge of something, and then the woman is taking essentially a back seat to the leadership role? Why is that a problem? Why is that a problem? Just wondering. Just wondering. It was just interesting to me. And I'm interested to know what you guys think about that and how you feel. How you would like your particular household to go. I want to play this video, you guys. And it's a long one, so I'm gonna go in and out of this video clip. But it's from the Lapeef Network. And if you know anything about the Lapeef Network, they actually do a podcast, but they do it in a panel format. And they have guys and they have women go up and they talk about different topics here. And I thought this topic was interesting, to say the least. I seen it a couple of days and I said that I was going to do this video here. And I never got started on it. And I want to do it now. But the title is actually called Why Delaying Marriage Makes Women More Independent. Why delaying marriage makes women more independent. And the men and women were going into this. I'm not going to hold you guys because I normally do all the time. I'm just going to play the video and I'll, stop it where I need to make my views and my points. But you guys let me know what you think on this one. I'm trying to debate whether I should just put this on the big screen or if I should put this on the little screen. Do you want this on the big screen or the little screen, you guys? Let me know. Let me know. And if I see it before I make a decision, um, I'll go ahead and put it up. I'll go ahead and put it up, you guys. But I need you guys to let me know beforehand. Okay, so I'm not getting anything here, but we gonna get it anyway. I'm gonna make the decision on what I think you guys will want. You probably want me to put it on the big screen here. So I'll jump back and forth. Let's get it though, you guys. Let me know what you think.
Would you want to take it back to caveman days when they're barefoot and pregnant? So what's the rub?
I don't know who that's for or why you said that, but who that's for, Kenny? Who you talking to?
That's a generalization on the statements that I hear coming around as for women conforming to a certain structure, right? So now, what's the rub? How far back do we push them if they don't have the mental capacity to still follow the hierarchy?
Well, since that
Okay,
question is to me, go ahead. I thought you were done.
no, I'm done. That was a question.
Since that question is to me, it's not to the panel because ain't nobody else made that statement but me. So you gotta reverse engineer your logic. I don't know what your logic is because you haven't shared it yet, but if you reverse engineer your logic, at first it sounds like you're in opposition to my logic. That's just how I'm taking it. I don't know if you are, but that's how I'm taking it. So if you're in opposition to my logic, I think it will be pursue college, push them into their careers, hot girl summer it, girls trip it, live your life, enjoy life, have your fun, you know, find love in your late 20s, early 30s, like most women are trying to do these days. And if you're looking at how it's panning out, it's terrible results. But also, when you reverse engineer it, you got to ask these women, like, and you could explain to us how should, because people love to challenge my perspective, but I would like to hear you roll out what that blueprint looks like for a young lady. In a perfect world, how would it go in your mind from?
Now, I'm going to just give my opinion based on what he said right now. I agree with him. I think far too many times people want to challenge your perspective, but they never want to implement theirs because it's easy to challenge something. It's hard to create something, but I'm going to let him continue. I don't agree with him all the way through. I watched this here, but let's let him cook, and I'll give my opinion in a minute.
Graduating. Actually, you could either start at freshman year in high school or you could start at 18. Wherever you decide to start, I'm fine with it. But give us a little blueprint of what the next decade or two of her life looks like, if you can.
You want a chronology? Okay. If you're starting from high school, you can't start from high school. You actually have to start from parenting. The parenting structure as for showing that the man is a necessary need, not a want. Then instructing as such education, but do not put that above the structure of the hierarchy. Then you would have to lean into to core values. Most of us subscribe to biblical God, man, woman, child, and instill to that young lady that's budding into a woman that she still has to hold these tenets and stop indulging in, oh, I don't need a man, and that kind of stigma that's placed within this society. If a woman stays aligned to her core values, she will not be a lonely lady in her 40s and 50s entertaining young men to fill the blank spaces or being with a bunch of lonely women with animals. Those core values will stand, and that starts from the basic structure of the home. If you're telling your woman, your young ladies, or your daughters that go out there and get it, and F a man, if he can't measure up to you, that's where it starts at the home front. You're instilling the wrong values into your daughters because they are dependent. They should be dependent because if you look at it micro to macro, when they're older, They ain't gonna have nobody there to wipe their ass or to care for them when they want someone to be dependent to.
Well, I don't think you answered my question, but you did make a statement that
Did it sound like shit just came out his mouth? Like, I watched this before, and it sounded like more shit now than it did before. It sounded like he gave his opinion, but the man asked for a chronology. Now, I'm not the smartest man in the world here, not even close, okay? But I wanted to bring up chronology and what it means, just so I'm making sure that I understand what he was asking for. Because I think I know what he was asking for, but I want to make sure that I understand it. So let's go ahead and bring it up. I'm actually going to go ahead and share my screen with you guys too. So you can see exactly what I'm seeing here. But let me just grab this right here. Make sure I'm bringing up the right one, and we're gonna get this show on the road here. There we go. I picked the right one. Okay, so great. Let me actually see if I can make this a little bit bigger. This a little. Okay, let's get into it. Let's see. We can want a good old Google here. So Google says the arrangement of events or dates in the order of their occurrence. Okay, again, the arrangement of events or dates in the order of their occurrence. So what he's basically saying is, how does this line up for a woman? How does this line up for a woman if a woman is trying to be the best woman she can? She wants a man. She wants to be faithful to that man. She wants to be a good woman. Okay. But from the time that she's born into child, teenager, how does she fit all this in chronological order? How does she set up her life to get the best man that she possibly can? And here's the answer to that. You ready for it? You can't. You can't. Let me explain more on this. When I say that you can't, I'm saying that you can't have it all. You have to choose your lane. Okay. If you are a woman and you know that you have a deep desire to actually have a family and have kids and do what you want to do as far as with a man, and have that man be, you know, the head of your household, and you can work, but you actually don't want to work full time and then put your 4 or 8 years into a college and stuff like that. Because here's the thing. I'm not saying this can't be done, what I'm about to say, but I'm saying it is not, what's the word I'm looking for? It is not the norm. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not the norm, you guys. So, because here's what I'm saying. A woman, okay, she, let's say all the way until she hits 16 years old, right? Okay. Now she's getting of age where she's kind of, you know, playing around, you know, maybe have, you know, boyfriends, or, you know, depending on how she was raised or whatever, Maybe she's considering going to college or whatever not. At that particular time, I think it is in the parents' best interest to actually see where their daughter is heading, to see where her mind is at, where her likes, where her dislikes are, what kind of person she is. Is she a very loving person? Is she a very like go-getter person? What type of values have you instilled into your daughter? Okay, because we're in a modern day and women can do whatever they want. I don't have any issues with that whatsoever. Okay, but what I am saying is that they need to choose, because we can't have it all. Men can't have it all and women can't have it all. Okay, 8 years of your life is going to be given to college if you want to get into a superficial high-end job or whatever the case may be. Okay, now with that job comes certain characteristics. Those characteristics, being a boss woman, being a person who's independent, things like that, is not going to suit well with the man who is actually the boss or the head of his household. Okay, so you may get something of a relationship or a marriage, but it's not your characteristics that you have, because you've actually turned yourself into this boss person. It's going to be difficult for you to transfer over into, wifey, because men are looking for something. We're looking for something particular. Okay. And I'm going to be honest with you. It's not a boss woman. It's not. Now, can women actually find men that are okay with boss women? Yeah, of course you can. But what I am saying is that it's going to be one of those situations where it's good while it's good, if that makes sense. Now, I know people are hearing me right now and they're like, this shit is crazy. This nigga right here, he don't make no fucking sense. But think about it. Think about it for a second. How long as humans do we live? I know for a man, like it's just a little bit over 60, and maybe let's just say 70, let's say 70, 75 for a woman. Let's just go there, right? Okay, so the first 10, 15, let's just go ahead and say 18 years, you're being molded. There's nothing happening there, okay? So out of your, let's say for a woman, 75 years, now you got 18 gone. You got 18 of those years gone, right? Right. So let me just bring this up here. All right, so you got 57 years as a woman. Now let's say you decided to go into the boss career. And let's go ahead and be modest with this. Let's go ahead and say you only needed 8 years of college. Okay. Now you go down to 49 years. Okay. Now you want to start your business, right? Because you went to college to actually start a business and become successful. Work hard at it. These things don't happen overnight. They actually say that to start a business and to make it successful, you have to dedicate at least 2 to 3 years in that. So let's go ahead and give it 3 years. Okay, that brings you at 46 years left. Okay, now you've actually got it started up. Okay, you got it started up. Okay, But now you have to maintain it. Now you go to let's just say another 4 years. Let's give it 4 years. That's 42 years you got left on your life. 42 years you got left on your life. You want to go out, you want to have a good time, you still want to, live your life and stuff like that. So let's just say you do 4 years of that. Overall, 4 years of that. You got 38 years. So now you had 75 years. You have 75 years, okay? And you just used up literally half of your life doing all of that. Everything completely contradictory to having a family, to raising kids, to knowing how to understanding a man and be with a man. Now, I'm not saying that there are not men out there, you guys, and I have to say this because I know the women audience, they kind of sit back and they like, But look, what I'm saying is I'm totally aware that you ladies out there can get a man, okay? But it's not your first option, okay? And when it's not your first options, ladies, what tends to happen with you guys, not all of you, but a good portion of you in this scenario, because it actually shows up in statistics and data, when you guys don't get the man of your choice, after a period of time, you tend to want to leave. You get bored, you get tired, you get frustrated, you want to leave. You don't have staying power. And men have seen this. Men have looked at statistics, okay? They have looked at their own personal lives, and they have said, and then they've gathered and compared notes with other men, and they've said, you know what? There might be some truth to this. So now this woman wants to be in your life, but everything that she has done for basically 10, 15 years of her life is completely contradictory to her being with you and genuinely being able to make you happy. And then on the flip side, for the woman, because she couldn't get the man that she wanted and she settled for you, and she never really dealt with transferring, her thought process into being a wife, because a wife is a title. It's not something that you just are. A wife is a title, meaning that these are things that you have to be or conform to. It's not like being a woman. It's a title, okay? So for you to get this title, you have to be of a certain ilk. And if you're not that, and you're not doing these things, like logically speaking, you would not be a wife. Now take your feelings out of the situation altogether. Logically speaking, if it's a title and you don't fit these qualifications, think about it like if you go to a job, okay, and you don't have those skills, those qualifications, they probably are not going to hire you. That's how we are looking at this. Okay? So, because of that, now you have to kind of deprogram yourself. And a lot of women don't want to do that. A lot of women, they tell us that they're fine the way they are. Like, you need to love me for who I am, right? Am I wrong when I say that? I'm just trying to get an understanding here, because I've heard it before. The guys I'm talking to have heard it before. I'm not bashing women, and then a lot of men out there that are saying the same thing, they're not bashing women either. What they're trying to have women understand is that there are choices that you have to make, not as a woman, but just as a human being. Okay. And we need to understand as human beings that we have a finite life, meaning that we don't have forever. Okay. There will be things in life that we will be able to do, and there will be things in life that we will not be able to do. Some people may be really efficient, and they may be able to do things a lot faster than others, but ultimately they won't be able to do everything they want to do. What men are asking women to do is to come to this realization. And once you come to the realization that you are human and you will not be able to do everything in this lifetime that you want to do, generally speaking, it puts you in a position now where you have to choose what you really want. And when you figure out what you really want, stick with it. This was not something that was hard to understand 50 or 60 years ago. When women back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s were getting out of high school, everybody was talking about what you want to do. And it was common for them to have conversations. Oh, I'm going to college. Oh, I'm having my kids, or whatever the case may be. Oh, I'm studying to become an astronaut. They knew what they were going to do. And if you didn't know what you were going to do, and you were just kind of like waving around as the waves go, then you would have like a job where you can make minimum wage. Some people would move up higher in their positions, be able to get jobs and things like that to be able to take care of their family and things. And maybe later on in life, they actually had a plan later on where they figured out what they were going to do. I'm not knocking people for what they do. I fall in a lot of those fucking categories. All I'm saying is that you have to understand you don't have all the time in the world, and you have to make a decision. And if you don't want to make a decision, that's fine, because the people that did make decisions and that did move on what they wanted to do, they're going to make a decision for you. And what I mean by that is these big millionaire and billionaire companies, these conglomerates that worked on their plan, that stayed in school or worked on their mission plan for 15, 20 years, okay? They have a job for you. They want you to do something, but they want you to do it their way. They're going to figure out what type of pay they want to give you. They're going to tell you your hours and when you can work and go home. They're going to make the decisions for you. There's a give and take to everything. So let's get back. Chronological order. He said he wanted the chronological order. Okay, I'll give you a chronological order because I was on a rant here. And I'm going to get back to the video. But what I would say to his chronological order is that the woman, from when she's born all the way up until she is about 16, 17, she's having her fun when she's a child. When she gets into those adolescent ages, we need to start understanding who she is as a person. We need to start really paying attention how she acts, her emotions, who she wants to be. If she's very dominant and she wants to step out into this field, we need to have a serious conversation with her. Is this something you want to do? Okay, do you want to devote your time into this? Do you want a family? If you want a family, okay, then understand that this is where you might want to lean into. This is what you might want to do. Okay, if you want to have this later on, these are more than likely the issues that you're going to have. Sit down, have these conversations with her. Okay? And you have time. You've set yourself up to have time to where she can genuinely think about this. Let's say she chooses to have a family. She say, you know what? I really looked at this, and that whole 8-year, 12-year, and then you have to go maybe like do 3 years to start the business up, another 10, and I don't have no family. I won't be, I'm going to be geriatric pregnancy by this time frame. I just want to have my family. I want to have a good husband, and I want to be able to, work and help out, but, not work all the time. But I know that men are going to have certain requirements. So let me make sure I'm the best woman for that kind of man. Okay. Let's say she decides to go that route, right? Okay, great. She wants to go ahead and start a business up later on. She can do that. Okay. Now, chances are with the business that it won't be flourishing like a conglomerate, major business. Statistically speaking, this is just, I'm not saying that she can't be the one out of a million. That can happen. But statistically speaking, a lot of the businesses that first start up don't make it. Okay, but it's worth a try. Now, let's say she wanted to actually go the route where she wanted to create the business. Okay, but now it's hard for her to have kids. She literally is putting her life in danger by having kids at this time frame. Because remember, she spent roughly 34 years, 37 years going to college. She spent that time playing around a little bit. Starting up a business takes 3 years, and then another 4 or 5 years to actually really get it going. And then she wanted to have some time to herself. And then we have to include the time where she was young, and, from the time she was like, 10 all the way, or a child, and then all the way up. Like, there are give and takes. You can't have it all. I wish we could. Shit, I wish we can live like the people in the old biblical days. Live to 100. Or I'm sorry, not live to 100. Live to 1,000. They said they lived for 1,000 years. Shit, you know how much we'd be able to accomplish in that time frame? I wish we can do that. But at this particular time, well, we're not able to do it. But I've been hearing, this is on a different note, I've been hearing that they have literally figured out how to do an operation where they're taking the brain outside of somebody's head, putting it into another body, and then the person is able to live longer. So they have either about to do the first brain transplant or they've already done it, which is crazy to me. But that's not for anyone. That's the 1% like maybe like one person, two if you're lucky, that would either have the know-how and have the money and the status to do something like that. So we're all fucked. We will never have that. Okay, so we have to make choices. Okay, we have the time that we have. What are we going to do with that time, you guys? Bottom line, men seem to know this. We don't really trip about this. We understand, to some degree. We may not think it out. I'm gonna keep it real with you. Men may not think it out all the way and be like, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. But we understand that there's definitely gives and takes. We understand if we do certain shit, I might not get this, or if I do this, I might not get that. You feel me? But we understand to some degree that, we gotta shake and move. We gotta make decisions, you guys. And that's really is what all men are trying to say. And to give him his chronological order again, starting right around, like, I'll just say this, starting around 16 all the way up to 18, the first phase is figuring out what kind of daughter you have. Okay. The second phase would be implementing and getting her ready for whatever life scenario she wanted to go in. If she decides to go in a family situation, start getting her into things like that so she can become the best person she wants to be for this particular role. If she wants to be in the business, set her up to get her into the best colleges in the fields that she wants to be in. Okay, that is how you set her up for success. But not only do you set her up for success, you set her up for reality. You tell her the likelihood and what happens when you go into these fields, because you have pros and cons. Pros and cons to being a boss woman, and pros and cons to actually being a housewife. We have pros and cons as men too. It just is what it is. It is what it is. So I'm gonna play the rest of this video, you guys, and let's let them continue, because I'm sorry, I just wanted to explain that to you, because a lot of people have a hard time dealing with the fact that we only have a finite time. And if we want to make the best of our lives, we need to start making decisions immediately. So if you have a daughter out there and you're trying to figure out what may be best for her, I think the best thing you can do as a father and as a mother is ask her and listen to her and pay attention to her and try to lead her into the way that she's most comfortable in and that she feels more passionate about. I think that's how you make the decision on whether or not a woman is going to be, more in the homestead housewife thing, or if she's going to pursue more of a life for herself. Either of the two are not wrong, but it's more easier it's fair if you're dealing with a man, and then for both people, because a lot of times women don't even really understand why certain men are only talking to them for certain reasons. And this is why. Certain men are not talking to those particular women because they see that they don't fit the qualifications that they want. So they get busted down. Absolutely. You guys absolutely get to go on dates, maybe even on trips. And for a lot of women that I know, that's cool for them. They get to have the dude come over for a little bit, kick it with them, have a good time, whatever the case may be. There's nothing wrong with that. Look, ladies and gentlemen, what we are doing, I know a lot of people that hear me, they get pissed off, okay? But what we are doing, this is called having an adult conversation. Adult conversations are uncomfortable. They are uncomfortable. So this is what I'm doing with you guys. We are having an adult conversation. Really. So with that being said, again, there's gives and takes. Some things you get to do, some things you don't get to do. With that being said, let's let them continue. Let's go.
They should be dependent. But it
The
sounds
only
like
thing I didn't answer is I skipped high school.
no, you didn't give me any information that I can do anything with. So you mentioned one point, you said they should be dependent. When should that dependency kick in? At what age should a woman become dependent?
Okay, so the information, if you chose to consume it properly, it starts at the home front, where a woman understands her value in the hierarchy. Once you adhere to the hierarchy, you are the helpmeet to your man. That means you are dependent.
And I just gotta say, people, and I'm gonna make this a bigger screen, and I promise you I'm not gonna talk too much, but I just gotta say this too. The dude that's talking right now, he's not even showing his face, bro. That's just anyway, come on, let's let him keep going.
To him. That's where it starts. If you just want to not see it, that's on you. I can skip the high school part to when there's a grown woman that understands that she adheres to those values and she carries that in her success. For getting a man to cleave to and having a successful relationship, the percentages now skyrocket.
Bro, this is all word salad. This is all word salad. It's all he's not making no sense at all. Is he making any sense to you guys? I'm gonna let him keep going though.
Okay, because now you're not putting a dollar value over core values as for what you need, and most of those women that grow old now because they had a list of requirements which don't mean anything, because if they followed core values, the percentages of those would have somebody there, but they're not
What
following that hierarchy. So now Joe Regular doesn't have a chance. So now when they're old and they're low,
I'm sorry, guys. I didn't hear age yet. When should that?
I don't.
are you there?
Yeah, he's
I
trying to get a
I don't think
chronology.
that. I don't think that there's necessarily an age where she shouldn't be dependent anymore. Because up until the point where she finds a husband, she should be dependent on the father, right?
Biz. You got. So here's the problem with that, and it's not that I disagree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
I was asking, said, is it possible for a young girl to find her husband prior to the age of 20 or by the age of 20? Then I was met with opposition. Like, what do you want her barefoot and pregnant, right? Or you want to push women back into the Stone Age, so to speak? So
Let's not sit here and act like women are not barefoot and pregnant at the age of 21 or younger. We know that women are barefoot and pregnant. A lot of them. When I got out of high school, even before I got out of high school, and I'm old, I'm 43 years old. I graduated in 2000. So there were women that I knew that were 18 having kids. Okay? Now, obviously, a lot of those were oops babies, but some of those women wanted to really lean into being a mother and a housewife. Not a lot, but some of them. I've seen them. And that's what they wanted. That's what they really wanted. So if they wanted to go into that line and do that, by all means, yes, do it. Barefoot and pregnant at that time frame. She knows what she wants. Women can choose, right? We're all pro-choice, right? Right? Okay. So let's go on to the next. Let's let them continue.
that then begged the question for me, okay, so how should that trajectory look? That was not explained. But in an attempt to explain it, he said she should be dependent. I'm like, okay, well, if she's not getting married young, she's going to develop independence, because if you're uncovered as a woman, even if your father, if you don't live at your father's house, if you have your own place, it is impossible for you not to develop independence. It's impossible. So if she's foregoing the relationship.
Yeah, so things happen naturally. I mean, when I first got my own place, I had no choice but to develop independence. Because at that time, you learn real quick that there's nobody that's going to be there for you. You are on your own. As a man, it is a rude reality. It is reality check. Now, for a woman, you actually have some grace. A lot of women have a little bit more grace. Not all of you, because some women got it. Whew, some women got it hard. But again, the majority, y'all got some grace as far as with mom or with pops, or, you lean into a relationship and you're like, I can, do this with him and at least have a place to stay. May not be the ideal place, but let a dude talk about, hey, baby, I'm going to be with you and I ain't really got no money and I ain't got no place to go, but I can slang this D. A woman gonna look at him like, is you crazy? What you mean you gonna slang some D? Look, this is what you gonna do. You gonna get a job because you ain't gonna be up in my house not contributing to anything. Real talk. That's how a woman is gonna look at it. But women tend to have a little bit more grace. That's all I'm saying. And when you get into that time frame, like I think the best thing, what I'm trying to say here is that independence comes naturally. If you understand that you want to be like a housewife, then you need to be learning to be more interdependent, because interdependency doesn't come naturally, because unfortunately the society that governs us is a I'm sorry, not a socialist, but a God, I can't think of the name. I'm having a brain fart right now, but we are geared around essentially being independent, you know, making decisions for ourselves, whether we are man or woman. So if you are going to be a housewife, you literally have to lean into it. You have to, literally learn how to become interdependent, because a lot of people are preaching independence in this day and age. But to be interdependent is a completely different thing. It is a completely different thing. So that's all I'm saying. Let's let them continue, though.
Pushing it off to later years. I don't know what later years could be. It could be 25, 27, 30, 40, what, I don't know. But it's not going to be priority number one. So therefore, independence will set in. It cannot not set in, because you have to take care of yourself. When we start talking about being self-sufficient, which is cool, we all want our daughters to be self-sufficient, but along with that develops independence. You can't separate the two. So if you're going to forego the relationship early on, she's going to then become independent. How do you then get an independent person to become dependent?
So he asks, how do you get an independent I'm gonna play that back again so I can make sure I heard exactly.
Going to forego the relationship early on, she's going to then become independent. How do you then get an independent person to become dependent?
There we go. I think the better word, instead of how do you get an independent person to become dependent, is how do you get an independent person to become interdependent, meaning intertwined with each other. And I have an answer for that. When it's like, here's what it is. If you want a person that is independent to become interdependent, or in his words, dependent, you're not going to get a dependent. I mean, like looking at the numbers speaking, like percentage wise, that's a very small chance that you're going to turn a independent person into a dependent person. It's almost impossible, because you got to look at I'm looking at the words, you guys. So when he says, I'm looking at what the word is exactly. He says dependent. They're going to be a dependent, like they are going to depend on you. That is very hard for a person to get out that mind frame and to do at 100% full capacity. Okay. So what you want is you want an interdependent woman. Now that's more reasonable. If you want that, you may not get that desired person that you were looking for, and that, you're going to get like 80%, because nobody's at 100. If you get 80%, you're doing damn good, but you usually get somewhere around like maybe 60, 65, something like that percent, as far as a woman becoming interdependent. That's like the high end. But if you want like mid, like somewhere it's just slightly above middle, something like that, that's possible for women to reach, or for men to reach going the other way, because now they have to like learn certain things. They have to figure out how to give up like some authority a little bit, and kind of like take a back seat a little bit in some scenarios and things like that. Because I'm not saying that women are like completely going to listen to everything that a man says. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that there has to be like some like give and take in a relationship. Like you're no longer the boss anymore. Like you want to become interdependent. Okay, well that means you have to depend on me a little bit. Okay, and I have to depend on you for certain things. But then again, there's also that authority thing where there has to be a final sayer in this thing too. So yeah, that takes a little bit of time to learn for men and women. It takes a little bit of time. So let's let them go. I'm about to finish up here, but I want them to finish up or be clear on this last few parts here. But let's let them go.
Well, I don't think a young lady could be independent when she's being taken care of by her family.
But that's why I said she got to still live at home with them.
She just lied to herself. If she won't call herself independent, but she's living with a mother and a father, still been raised.
I said she has to stay home with them. If she graduates college and moves out on her own, she's not going to be a dependent person.
Okay, I mean I agree with that, but I'm talking about as far as in the situation. The example I would do, she would stay under our roof until that man comes and takes her away from me. So now, if you're talking about a 21-year-old woman, more than likely another 21-year-old young man is not going to be able to afford to take care of himself barely, let alone to taking a wife. So are you okay with your daughters dating up as far as the age wise? Are you okay? Maybe say about a 10-year difference. Say she's
no. This is what I wanted to get into. Okay. Now for all my 80s babies out there, to everyone that's listening right now we get into the meat and potatoes. Let's see. I want to have this conversation, right? Okay, so check this out. This is going to be scary for y'all. Y'all ready? Because I'm going to ask y'all a serious question, especially to the men and women who have little girls. Your little girls is of age now where they can actually date and make decisions on their own. You know, hopefully they did everything they, were supposed to do. And now they're either just now looking at getting a house or getting out on their own, or they're just or they've been doing that. Okay. You knowing that the men are in her age range, generally speaking, are not going to be financially stable, because generally speaking, we know it takes a while for a man to hit his stride. Generally speaking, a man hits his stride financially in the ranges in maybe like 36, 37, all the way up until like 45. That's where he hits his financial stride. Okay. Would you be willing for your 25-year-old, let's go a little bit further, maybe like 22, 23-year-old, would you be okay with your daughter dating a 40-year-old man? That's what I want to know. Would you be okay with your daughter dating a 40-year-old man? That's something to think about. Let's let him continue.
He's 31.
No, I'm not okay with a 10-year difference, but I was 21 taking care of my ex-wife. Now, I shouldn't have got married because I wasn't quite a man yet, but I was financially able to provide. There's a lot of 21-year-olds out here that can take care of their wives.
Yeah, the average 2025, they can't do it.
But they don't need to be with the average guy. But they don't need to be with the average guy. That's why you have to vet.
Yes. So
again, I understand what you're saying. So the average 21-year-old can't take care of himself.
Right. And we won't want our daughters to marry the average 21-year-old if she's going to get.
Okay, so let me make sure I'm reading his name right. Picking and choosing. Okay. So through the majority of this live stream, I've agreed with him. His name is Picking and Choosing. Okay. But this one, I'm going to have to disagree a little bit on this, because he gets into where he's talking about vetting. And I agree with him to a degree. He's actually saying that women are, as a father, if you want your daughter to get the best quality man that she can, and you know that's going to be an older dude, or let's just say he wants to, strive out there for someone within her age bracket, but he wants to vet her, right? So now he needs to do a vetting process. Now here's the pros and the cons with this, okay? The pros and the cons with this is that there are already not a lot of men in that age bracket meeting that standard, but there are men out there. You can find men out there who are 21 making a little bit of money and they're not doing it illegally. But he's saying that he's going to help his daughter vet, and I totally agree with that. I think that's a good way of doing it. Now, because of the time we're in and because nobody's really doing the whole vetting process for their daughter and stuff like that, and we're just kind of willy-nilly with it, we don't have a goal, and life is just kind of happening, that normally doesn't happen. But let's say, and because it doesn't happen, he's able to pretty much have the choosing for his daughter. But let's say that this becomes a little trend where men are starting to vet the boyfriends of their daughters because they want the best for their daughter, and they know that their daughter wants to go into, being a mother and being the pretty girl. That's how you raised her, being the soft girl and things like that. And she played with dolls. You raised her like that to be a woman who wants to have a family. Okay. Now, with that being said, you want to pick the best husband for her. Okay. But now everyone is doing that. It's a trend now. It's a trend. So now everyone's not going to get that 21-year-old. And it all comes back again. Now, hey, we couldn't get the 21-year-old. Is the 40-year-old man, or let's not go up to 40. Let's just go ahead and say, is the 30-year-old man, can we find a man that's 30 years old that got his stuff together? There's a good chance. It's possible. As you get up in age, then you have these men who actually, start getting it together. Some make it sooner, some don't. Okay. But you have that pool, and then you go up to maybe like 35, and then you get up into the 40 range. Okay. So there are chances. Absolutely. It's just doing it at the right time, and then understanding, like, if you don't get exactly what you want and you're not vetting like properly, then you gotta, like, it's like having your first option and then your second option and your third option, and I hate to say it like that. I really do, because it just sounds fucked up, but it kind of is what it is. I'm gonna let them continue for a little bit more, and I think we're gonna wrap it up. Let's get it.
Married, but Hank,
more than likely, your daughter's going to fall in love with the average 21-year-old if you're not willing to let them. Go ahead, man.
No, I'm sorry. You go ahead.
What I'm saying is that your daughter's going to more than likely average be dating and entertain or being taken back by the average 21-year-old if you're not willing to let her date up. You know what I'm saying?
If she don't know how to vet, why y'all glossing over the vetting process? Like, if you leave her to her own devices, yeah, she's gonna deal with her peers.
I'm not gonna get into that because we already went into it, but he's going deep into vetting, and I just went over that process. Get it while the getting is good. If you can't, then yeah, you're gonna have to start looking at your second and third options. But let's keep going.
Why wouldn't she deal with her peers?
About time she introduced you to vet her, she'd probably already sucked this dick, turned it up, and poked it out for everybody.
Damn.
And now she's starting to feel him, and now she's going to introduce him to him. Well, I'm gonna bring you over for Sunday dinner, and I want you to meet my father. Well, they probably about 6 months in by now.
Oh, but hold on now.
So now you're balling backwards.
So wait. So the solution is just to get with an older man and then problem solve?
Now, you still have to vet regardless of the older man or as a man the same age. Both times you got to vet.
Right. So but if she got with the 31-year-old that you mentioned, she probably already sucked his dick too. What's the difference?
And it's possible. That's possible. So
no, it's probable. No. If she's 21 and he's 31, that's probable.
Yeah,
I agree with that. So if that's the case, at least financially he should be able to take care of her.
Not the average black man. No, because you're talking about the average black
I said
21-year-old.
I said average 21-year-old man can't take care of himself, let alone a wife.
And the average
Not in
31-year-old and the average 31-year-old makes $40,000 a year. He ain't doing that much better than the average 21-year-old. If at all better.
Are great compared to 21 to 31. So
how? The averages are still the averages. The average black man in America makes about $43,000 a year.
Hopefully the man got some type of certification, some type of training, some type of trade, or some type of degree.
If he's average man, he does not. You can't go with average 21-year-old, then try to use above average 31-year-old. That's why I said vet, right? If you're vetting, it doesn't matter if he's 21 to 51. If you're vetting him, you rule out the guys who are average or below if she's young like that, right?
Okay, so I just wanted to actually bring up the salaries, and it says top earners. It says in America, they make about $23, 49,500 annual salary. 75 percentile make $37,500. That can't be right. Hold on, let me look this up. What year is this in? Let's go to 2025, because that's gotta be wrong. That's so low. Hold on. That can't be right. So, Jesus Christ. So it's saying average is $37,307. Yo. It's rough out there. It's rough out there. Wow. All right. It is what it is, you guys. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here, you guys. Get it in and get it out. Look, I appreciate you guys sticking with me. To those few people that actually hung around, I appreciate you guys for having thick skin and being able to have these conversations with me as an adult. We can all come together at some point and have, like serious debate, serious and genuine conversations, and not be mad at each other and stuff like that, because people have different points of views. We are adults and we should be able to do that. But with that being said, I appreciate the hell out you guys. Thank you so much for rocking with your boy, and I will talk to you guys later. Have a blessed night, you guys. Peace out.